Welcome to Newcastle Arts Centre. This group of buildings is a huge part of the heritage of Newcastle. Newcastle Arts Centre was founded July the 1st, 1981, and it was bought round about that time with money from the local TSB bank. They gave us a mortgage to buy the site. We felt that in a lot of the redevelopment that had taken place in the 60s and 70s, that the big outcry was from people who felt they'd lost their roots. And here was a chance where we had a group of buildings that turned out to have a huge heritage. This particular project has worked because it is principally made possible by saying that here are buildings that people value, even though they might be in a grotty state and tumble down, but they represent part of the culture and the history of the people who live in the area. And one of the ways in which you bring them back to life is you reuse them, and you put life back into them by reusing them. And we have not only recycled the buildings, but we've taken lumps from other buildings, whether it be brick or timber, or finished doors and things, and brought them together as even salvage, and used skills that have been almost forgotten in many respects in working in floor ceramics, in mosaic, and in skilled joinery. So we're going to take a walk into the Arts Centre and discover what we're about. This craft shop has always sold work, and deliberately so, of individual makers. Even the floor tiles here were handmade, and they were handmade here in our own pottery. And some of it was made using clay that was actually dug out of the ground when we were excavating the Mile Castle. You'll see that some of the walls are really quite ancient. You'll come across here, you'll see there's a section. Remember, we're on the line of the Roman wall, and the people who built houses on it would literally take lumps out of the wall as it stood to build their houses within the city. This is the main entrance, which takes you to our art material shop and to our gallery spaces. We exhibit work by regional and some national artists on a monthly basis, but also it becomes an exhibition space for university and colleges. In fact, that's what's in the making at the moment. Now, an important part of our self-sufficiency is the fact that we have commercial space. So the perimeter of the centre is shops and offices that we let out, but we've also traded. So we've run an art material business, we have a craft shop, and we also have a picture framing department. And each of these contribute towards the overhead and the operation of the Arts Centre. This particular art material shop has been the mainstay of our trading activity, and it also is a great space where we're able to communicate with artists and makers, because they come in and there's a dialogue and a communication, and gives us that contact with a particular community of artists.
The Art Centre represents a lot of things, but the huge part of it that it encompasses mainly for me is community. That's the best part of my job, is the people that I meet every single day, and networking with other artists and seeing other artists and getting to be around art all the time. But it's really just a hub of everything in the terms of all versions of art.
Up and above here is a group of artist studios, which is let out to individual artists. And below here is our main performance space. So we've got a bar and a studio theatre underneath here. which can take up to a couple of hundred people in total. So it gets used for family parties, for weddings, for theatre performance, for live music. I'm now standing in a corner of the courtyard where about a metre below here was found the foundations of a Roman mile castle. And we, after having excavated it, and it was fully documented, and it was completely unknown mile castle. It was unexpected by the archaeologists, and it was totally undocumented. So you've got actual Roman stone used around here to outline the corner of the castle as it was. The Assembly House has stood on this street a long time. Its roots go back to 16th century. It was very much the house of the rich and the rulers of the city and the area, and represented a place where people who control what's happened in the city lived at. We're working on the Assembly House with plans to make that much more accessible, because it's not an accessible building properly at the moment. It's very much a partly restored, important historic building. We're talking about how we're going to turn Fourth Lane into a more civilised space, and we're always going forward with ideas about new events and new exhibitions.
For me, it's a fantastic place to have a studio. We've got light both ends of the studio, and there's a lovely community feel here. Lots of other artists. Everyone here that works here is probably an artist in their own spare time anyway, and it's a great location in a fantastic sort of vibrant, edgy end of Newcastle.
I think that the Art Centre is a space for people to be able to just come, to be creative, to find their materials, to show their artwork. It's a good place for artists to come together.
I think of the Art Centre as very much a little village in the centre of the city where lots of things can happen and people can get involved in and develop their talent and do work, but also come and experience and enjoy things.